Well, we had a great time last night on our webinar, Three Common Myths About Trauma That Keep You from Healing. And we got some fantastic questions after the webinar. So Emily and I decided to just hop on a short video here to answer these questions for you. So this is Emily, one of the teachers here at Transpersonal Energy Healing Therapy, and we're going to just answer these questions for you real quick. They were such good questions that came up. So let's dive in.
All right, perfect. Let's see here. All right, question number one. Why is it so important to follow a charge all the way through to completion?
Okay, so we in the webinar we talked about trauma itself isn't the problem, it's unresolved trauma that's the problem. And any kind of event, any kind of situation that arises that we need to respond to creates what we call a charge in the system. So a stressful event can charge us up into survival physiology so we can take action. Exciting events also charge us up. This charge discharge cycle happens all day, every day, right? An emotion comes in, it charges us up, and then we express the emotion and we discharge it and we move on. We breathe in, charge up, and we exhale and discharge. So it's a constant charge discharge. That's how the world works. Energy is always in motion, and so when we have an energy charge from an experience, our bodies are designed to give us the physiology we need to charge up and to take action to respond. And then we hit a peak of resolution, and we then have physiology that helps us to de stress or discharge the experience. So we're designed to do this, charge up and discharge. And when we come back after a discharge, we go back into a parasympathetic state of rest and digest. That is ideal. So it's really important to be able to allow ourselves to experience the charging up. And if it's an emotion, for example, we feel the charging up or we get triggered into an emotional response, we charge up. And then we have some sort of way to resolve it and express it. If we don't have the full completion of charging up and discharging back to a state of calm, that dysregulates our nervous system and our energy system. And if we don't have a way to resolve it, then what can happen is we get stuck in the survival physiology, which dysregulates our immune system and all of the other systems in the body, leading to dis-ease. So it's crucial that we learn how to have a full expression of the charge. Charging up, hit the peak of resolution, and discharge. So the event itself isn't disruptive to the body unless we don't have resolution and we can't reset back into a state of calm. So that's of course what we'll be teaching in the class is some skills on how to work with your energy charge so that you can tolerate intense experiences, you can manage it if you need to in the moment, but then also allow for the full discharge and expression of the experience so you're set back into that calm physiology.
Mm, that's great, Kimberly. And that sounds like a lot of like the regulation cycle as well, right?
Exactly, exactly. Learning how to regulate your system back to a state of calm after being charged up. So
Mhm.
we can regulate our physical body and we can regulate our emotions when we get triggered or charged up. It's a skill to be able to regulate and move back down into that calm physiology. So we're going to teach people how to regulate emotionally and physically and energetically back to a state of calm.
Sounds great. Awesome. Good. All right. Let's see what other great questions we have. Okay, here's one. I understand that we need to experience and practice to rewrite old pattern behaviors, but what does that look like to practice these skills?
Great question. So, the charge that we were just talking about, we learn how to work with charge when we're little, when we're very little. And we find a way to help us manage the experiences around us And often, as kids, we have pretty overwhelming experiences around us. So we learn how to buffer the charge. And we can get into patterns that aren't so healthy. I explained in the webinar that my pattern to buffer overwhelm was to just check out, to not feel my body, to be more attuned to the intellectual and spiritual worlds. So I got into this pattern of checking out, avoiding, dissociating. And I used it so much as a child that it just became habit as an adult. So now, when I say we need to practice new ways of being to change, what we're talking about is changing the old patterns of survival that we learned as kids that worked when we were kids, not as useful as adults. So we learned this pattern as a child. It got wired into our system so strongly that we just do the same thing over and over and over again. It becomes habit. So to have a new way of being, we have to practice this new way of being over and over and over again. Then we'll have a new habit. So, as we talked about in the webinar, the first step is awareness of the pattern. Like I had to be aware of the fact that I wasn't aware of the present reality. I was checked out. I was disassociating. When I learned and was aware that I was doing that, then I was able to learn some new skills. But I had to practice it. I had to learn how to be grounded in my body, fully present in my body. I
Mm,
had to practice being grounded in my body on a very consistent basis. So now my new state of being is more grounded and aware. So, practicing, what does that look like? Well, we do a lot of different fun things in our class. Okay, so we're going to work with the physical body. We'll have some physical exercises and activities. We're also going to work with the energy body. We're going to learn some core energy skills like grounding, what an energetic boundary is, our energetic edge, like what's me versus what is you. We're also going to practice working with our voice. Some of us have a pattern of shutting our own voice down, and it's a great way to discharge, right? Our voice is one of the most important ways that we use or have the ability to discharge what's happening inside of us. So, we're going to work with the voice, and we're going to work with that in a very co regulated way, meaning we're going to have very safe connection with the other people in the group. We're going to actually often get in small groups, groups of three, or even just pairs of us to work together with some role playing using our voice. It's got to be a safe container for us to practice these new skills. But we're going to practice so that we can rewire this new way of being into our system. So we'll practice with each other in a safe way. And we're going to do some deep, very deep introspective work. So we'll do some journaling and some meditations as well. So
mm,
that's kind of what the exercises will look like. And then we'll practice that together. And then you'll practice on your own as well to really master these skills.
mm, That sounds wonderful.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Here's a good one. I understand that charge could be something stressful or something good, but what do I do with that charge? So, how I interpret that is like, so I'm at work and I'm feeling stressed out, energy's coming towards me. What do I do with that now that I know that it's a charge? It's
Right.
energy.
Very good. So there's an important skill that we call stress management, right? So in the moment, if you get triggered at work and you're with your coworkers and it's not really appropriate to discharge in a way that you might like to discharge, we can learn to manage the charge in an appropriate way, in a safe way. And many of us are managing our charge all the time. There's a difference between managing it, which is an important skill, and resolving a charge that might be blocked or causing us um, discomfort, physical or emotional discomfort. So, our program is designed with 4 modules with very intentional steps in the process. So, in the first module, we're going to learn how to be aware of the pattern and the science behind it so that we know what we're dealing with us. We know what we're dealing with intellectually. Then the next module is going to be um, a deeper understanding of awareness of our personal state. So when I am in a state of arousal, what does it feel like? and what are the subconscious beliefs below that. When I'm in a state of overwhelm or freeze, what does that feel like? Being able to really identify what you're doing, what your system is doing in the moment. Then in the next module, we're going to learn to work with the charge, build resiliency in the system by working with it. So we'll learn how to work with anxiety and how to down regulate those hormones of mobilization that makes us feel anxious. And we'll work with freeze. So when you're kind of feeling overwhelmed and shut down and you want to hide and you're avoiding things, or you're feeling depressed, low energy, how can we work with that to build up or upregulate those hormones that get us back into action? So we want to learn how to tone it down if it's too much. We want to learn how to bring it up if we need more. Those are skills that will help build resiliency in our system. Then, and we can work with those skills, we can learn to work with the charge in the moment. But as we build resiliency and we know how to work with our charge, then we can go into if we have past charge from a past trauma that's still in our system, that's disrupting our health or our well being. We've built some resiliency through the first three modules. By the fourth module, we can be more curious about what's still stuck from the past, and we'll be ready to really face that and ready to be able to kind of bring it out into the open and work with it. When that happens, we clear this old hidden stuff that's been in our system for so long, and it opens up the possibility for us to really be who we're meant to be, right? So many of us are bogged down with old past issues and traumas that we're not necessarily aware of consciously, but they're there and they're hidden on purpose. They're hidden because we don't have the ability or the skills to manage it. We didn't learn the skills to manage it, so we had to shove it down. So we'll build our skills in working with the charge, and then we'll open up to the possibility that there's something left over inside of us from the past. Then we can work with that and open up and let that go. Really let it go, opening us up to being able to reach our full potential.
Hmm. Wow, that's
So that's
wonderful.
what we're hoping for in this course. Like, really, we want you to come learn these skills that you didn't get to learn when you were younger. We got wired into defensive patterns because of our stress, our overwhelm, our trauma. We know what we're doing often, but we don't know how to change. So, this course is going to give you the skills of awareness. It's going to give you the skills to learn to work with the current charge and be able to manage it and master working with your charge. Then you can open up to the past charge that might be in the system to really resolve that out. And then when that happens, like I said, we have the space to really be connected to that essential self within inside of us and to reach our full potential.
Hmm. Sounds wonderful.
So those were great questions that we got.
Yeah,
Um, is there any? I don't think there's any more really that I wanted to answer. I think we covered
those
the
are the
three that I
good
thought were the most important.
nuggets. Yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
Date and time, but we could also address
Yeah,
that.
so it's starting soon. Excuse me, April 7th is our day one. So you have until the 6th to enroll. It's classes are on Wednesday night, 4 o'clock Pacific. It's 2.5 hours for every Wednesday in the month of April. So we have four classes: the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. 2.5 hours, and then we'll be doing a live Q&A on Saturdays, I believe, at 9 a.m. Pacific for a check-in midweek so that we all have the opportunity to connect and check in and ask questions. If you're having some questions or you need help processing something during the week, we'll do that check-in midweek. So yeah, the cart closes soon. So if you have any more questions, you can email us at admin@tehtherapy.com, and we'd be happy to answer more of your questions. And we really hope to see you in the course.
Yeah.